The Alchemist's Feather is an upcoming adventure module for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition that was successfully funded on Kickstarter. This is a review. I like to think of myself as pretty well read when it comes to fantasy literature, but honestly I'm more well watched. And this goes double when it comes to Grimoire's Books of Magic, or any other book that might teach me how to cast a spell. Fortunately, there are plenty of folks out there who do the reading for me, so I can just sit back, relax, and let them absorb all that magical lore. And if they're nice, they'll even share their learnings with the rest of us. Which brings us to the Alchemist's Feather. The Alchemist's Feather is an upcoming adventure module written by Joseph Goodman, published by Critical Role, and produced in collaboration with Darrington Press. It looks at a particular sect of wizards who study alchemy, the process of transmutation, and how that intersects with the natural world. As part of this research, they maintain gardens full of special plants and flowers that have unique properties, which will be useful to the alchemist as they continue their studies. The catch is these plants tend to not stay put, so alchemists have to send out expeditions to retrieve these specimens, which is where the players come in. It is designed for a party of 3 7th level characters and takes place over the course of one long session, though the authors do recommend breaking it up into 2 sessions. If you have a shorter game day, the adventure is mostly focused on exploration, role-playing, and social encounters. There's a little bit of combat, but not very much. The module does assume your party has access to some basic adventuring gear like rope and grappling hooks and climbing gear, but aside from that, there's very little material required to run the game. I think what surprised me the most about the Alchemist's Feather is how much I liked it. I went into this having a few concerns. First, I thought the premise was a little too weird to really go anywhere. The idea of an adventure revolving around gardening didn't seem very exciting to me. Secondly, while I love Critical Role and I love Darrington Press, I wasn't sure how 2 companies with such different aesthetics would work together. And finally, being a reviewer, I was worried that because this was crowdfunded, and therefore reliant on pre-order, the finished product would suffer due to production problems. I am happy to say that none of those things were true. Let's start with the premise. While yes, The Alchemist's Feather is about gardening, it's also about the dangers that lurk in the untamed wilds. Your expedition into the woods will quickly turn from a relaxing stroll to desperate fight for survival. And once you realize that you're not alone in these woods, you'll have to contend with threats, both mundane and magical. By the end of the adventure, you and your companions will have to decide what lengths you're willing to go to achieve your goals, and whether the means justify the ends. You'll need to navigate complex moral quandaries and difficult decisions, and by the time you're done, you might not be able to call yourself an adventurer anymore. You might be something else entirely. Now, moving on to my concerns about the collaboration between Critical Role and Darrington Press. I'm happy to report that the differences between the 2 companies actually complement each other nicely. Darrington Press excels at producing high-quality physical products, and they bring that same care and quality to the Alchemist's Feather. From the color choices to the layout design, everything looks great. Meanwhile, Critical Role brings their amazing storytelling experience to the mix, which makes the adventure feel personal and relevant. The author clearly knows their way around a story and is unafraid to make you care about things that initially seem unimportant. And finally, despite being a crowd-funded project, The Alchemist's Feather feels just as good as any other adventure I've reviewed recently. This speaks to the hard work of the people involved, and the trust that fans have in Critical Role and Darrington Press to deliver quality products. If you're worried about supporting a crowd-funded project, The Alchemist's Feather is a perfect example of why they work so well. One thing I did find odd was the inclusion of blank pages throughout the book. These are meant to be filled out by the Dungeon Master before running the game, but I'm not sure how helpful they are. A lot of the advice given here seems like common sense or basic world building. For example, one page asks you to fill in what sort of animals live in the woods. But surely every DM is going to answer that question differently based on their own world. If you're looking to run this adventure in your world, you've gonna have to do a little bit of work to make it feel native to your setting. Another page asks you to write down quotes from the NPCs, but these are fairly simple folks whose dialogue should flow naturally in the moment. I don't think it's worth taking the time to write it all out ahead of time. Finally, there is a blank map in the middle of the book that asks you to draw in the location of important landmarks. But again, I do not think this is necessary as the locations are fairly straightforward and easy to explain to your players. Now maybe I'm just not seeing the benefit here, but I would have preferred those pages be replaced with additional content. The Alchemist's Feather comes in at 80 pages, Of those 80 pages, about half of them are devoted to telling the story of the world and its people. The story is well paced and easy to follow, although I do wish it had been broken up into smaller digestible chunks. There are also some beautiful illustrations which help move the story along. One thing that surprised me was the artwork style used throughout. Usually when companies collaborate, each company's artwork style bleeds through and detracts from the final product. Here, however, the art styles work together to produce something beautiful and cohesive. The back half of the book details the adventure itself. We get information on the various locations, NPCs, and creatures that appear in the adventure. And overall, the writing is well done. There's nothing groundbreaking here, but everything flows well and is easy to understand. My favorite section is the one detailing the flora and fauna of the region. Reading about all the unique plants and flowers brought a smile to my face. There's a lot of great ideas here that could be used in other adventures or other settings, so I'd recommend it even for DMEs who aren't planning on running the Alchemist's Feather. But now we come to the elephant in the room. The Alchemist's Feather is about alchemy, which is the same subject matter as Critical Role's previous release, Explorer's Guide to Wildmount. How do they compare? Well, I have a copy of Explorer's Guide on hand, so I can tell you firsthand that they read nothing alike. The Alchemist's Feather feels like a completely different product despite sharing the same subject matter. If you're concerned that buying both of these products will feel like you're getting the same thing twice, don't worry. They're both excellent products in their own right, and add something different to the Critical Role canon. All told, I think The Alchemist's Feather is a solid B-tier adventure. If you're a fan of Critical Role or Darrington Press, then I highly recommend checking this out. If you're a fan of either one, then I highly recommend checking this out. If you're not a fan of either one, then I still recommend checking this out. Just go in knowing that you'll probably enjoy it more if you use it outside of the context it was originally intended for. I want to thank you for watching and ask that, if you enjoyed this review, please hit the like button. If you'd like to see more reviews like this, please subscribe and hit the bell icon. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.